It's KC101, your hometown country station, and we are doing another edition of Saturday with Seniors. Our guest today, Bob Benedict, in our studio, and let me thank our sponsor. It is FCCB, First Citizens Community Bank. Their Tago County offices in Wellsboro, Mansfield, and Blossburg, proud to sponsor today's show. First Citizens Community Bank, building better communities for over 150 years. Member FDIC, and let me put on my glasses here so I can see what I'm doing. And Bob, how are you?
I'm good.
Bob, so tell us how old you are.
73.
And where were you born, Bob?
I was born in Wellsboro.
Born in Wellsboro. So what did your parents do? Let's go backwards in time. Before Bob was in the world, what were your parents famous for?
My dad was a farmer, and he worked for equipment dealer in Covington, Canoe Camp, I.W. Harvey. Ford tractors and New ID and stuff like that.
Is that where AJ's used to be before AJ's was there?
No, it's right at the bridge there near KFC, across the street from KFC.
I did not know that there was a dealer there at one time.
Yeah, well, it's years ago.
Years and years ago, when that was Richard's Bridge, I think that was called at one time.
Down below. Yep.
So that's what your dad did for work when you were.
Yeah, we ran the farm, and he actually hauled milk from the local farmers to the processing plant at Covington. Took 3 different farmers with milk with him every morning.
And you had a family farm at this time too. And the farm, is that around where Benedict's Bus Services?
Yes.
Your company that you started later on?
Yes.
Where was the original farmhouse compared to that?
It's still there now, the big house next to the fairgrounds.
Right next to the fairgrounds. And originally the farm included the Tago County Fairgrounds?
Yes. We had 300 acres at one time there and across Charleston Road and across Route 6 on the other side of Route 6.
So it was quite a big farm then.
Yeah.
So what was life like growing up on the farm? Did you have responsibilities like today's kids do?
Yes, I did.
Probably more than today's kids. I was kind of being joking in that.
We were farm kids, and I had an older brother, and he, of course, bossed me around.
As older brothers do.
Yeah, we had dairy cows, and we also had 9,000 broiler chickens, which we raised.
So it sounds like a lot to me. That is a lot, I assume.
Yeah, it's a 3-story barn.
So how much work did it take for you as a kid? How many hours a day did you have to put into this farm?
Well, I used to get up, I don't remember, 5 o'clock and do chores until 7, have breakfast and go to school. And after school, I'd come home. And when we had the chickens, my brother would take me to the chicken barn and drop me off and go to town. And he'd come back conveniently when I got done. So.
That's what big brothers are for.
That's right.
The same pattern.
Yep.
So did you get an allowance for all this work? Were your parents generous giving you an allowance?
I'm thinking room and board.
Room and board. Well, that was, at the time, that was more than some people had.
Right, yeah.
So where did you end up going to school? You lived in Whitneyville at the time?
I went to Wellsboro School, and I graduated in 1966. I went to college at Kent State University in Ohio. I was there for the famous Kent State University Massacre.
Yeah, where they brought in the National Guard. Were you right in? I mean, you actually...
I wasn't one of the participants. My wife was the secretary to the vice president at Kent State, and we went to lunch, and I come back at 1 o'clock, and I could hear the banging noises. I thought it was tear gas canisters because they'd been doing that, but it's actually shots. And actually, I was getting ready to graduate, and I went from there to Ravenna, which was the draft board. So I was signing up for the draft as I was graduating. I got in there, and I came across the radio that there'd been 4 kids killed. And she said, "I'm not staying in any draft board. You go back, and I'll send your records back to Wellsboro." So I drove back into town, barely got into town before they shut it down, and walked the last way up to the administration building and asked for my wife. National Guard were surrounded the building, and they were 18-year-old kids. They were standing there with fixed bayonets, shaking like a leaf. They were scared. They're just kids too.
Yeah,
and they brought my wife.
We got to remember the age of Vietnam days.
Yeah.
You know, we think of them as adults when we were younger, but that's 18. I mean, that is an adult. But wow.
National Guard was just teenagers basically. Got her, and we came back home for a couple of weeks when they shut the college down, and we went back out, and I finished college by mail, and actually graduated by mail too. I didn't go back out. I was manager of a gas station at that time, so we kept the gas station open, and interesting stories there, but I don't know how much detail you want to go into.
Well, if you got one good one, I always like a good story.
Well, the gas station I was at, they had a 6 o'clock curfew every day. The guy across the street had his own gas station, which was a repair shop too. And he said to me, he says, "They're not going to make me close tonight. I'm sick of this curfew thing. I'm losing money. They're not going to make me close." So 6 o'clock comes around. He's standing in the door with his arms crossed, and in comes the National Guard police. And he stood there with his arm closed talking to him. And he jumped out of the Jeep, grabbed him by both arms, put him in the Jeep, closed the doors, and off they went. So much for not closing.
Well, he tried it, tested it.
He tested it and lost.
All right, so you came to Wellsboro, and then at what point did the farm go from being a farm to being whatever it became next? Did it become a bus company next?
We were farm equipment. My dad bought out Everett Gillette over on Route 6 in 1964, and we were there until 68, and Everett sold the building, which is now the veterinary center, and we built our own place over at Whitneyville. That's what the building you see there now. I'm not sure when the fairgrounds bought the fairground area of it, but it was after that.
Split off the farm after that, and then...
Yeah, been splitting it off ever since.
So you started up Benedict's Bus Service Company over 50 years ago?
We had school buses in 64, 3 of them.
Okay, so 60...
Came with a tractor business.
Yeah.
64. We bought the motor coaches from Olin Chamberlain in 1991. They were at the old Taton building, which is now Wise, and we moved up to the tractor business and got rid of the tractor business, farm equipment, because it was dying, and moved the bus business in there, remodeled the building, and so it was adequate for bus business.
And it continues on to this day, the bus business.
Yep, continues on.
We'll be right back here with part 2 of Saturday with Seniors. It's all brought to you by FCCB. Bob Benedict, our guest today on KC 101. Stick around. And if you miss any of today's show or you want to hear any of the previous shows, you can go to our website, kc101fm.com, and click on the Saturday with Seniors tab. And you can hear all the previous shows, including this one. We're back at Saturday with Seniors here on KC 101, brought to you by FCCB. Each Saturday morning at 10 a.m., we talk to the local senior citizen about growing up in our area and what their life was like in the earlier parts of their life. It's sponsored by FCCB's Tioga County offices in Wellsboro, Mansfield, and Blossburg. And again, you can hear these episodes, but the link through our website, kc101fm.com. First Citizens Community Bank, building better communities for over 150 years. Member FDIC. And we've got Bob Benedict joining us in our studio. You may know him from Benedict's Bus Service and a lot of different things in the community. But so when you got out of college, tell me about your work history.
I got out of college in 1970.
After Kent State and the shooting and got you out of there early.
Yeah, that
crazy story there.
That was on May 5th of 1970, the shooting. And come back, and I got a job for Endicott Johnson in Endicott, New York. I was an internal auditor. I had a degree in accounting, and I was there from 70 to 72, and then Niles Lumber Company hired me, Lee and Niles, in 72. I was there from 72 to 77 when my dad got sick, and I went to work for him. And I've been there ever since. Sold out to my daughters in probably 4 or 5 years ago. I can't remember the date.
Yep. And you're still involved with Benedict's Bus Service to a certain extent, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm there every day.
Okay, that's more than to a certain extent.
I'm retired. They ask my opinion once in a while.
Well, if you had to do it all over again, would you have gone the same route, or what would you have done differently in life? Or did it all the pieces looking back?
I'm not sure that in life you have that choice, but
you're very right on that.
When you're asking that, I had a chance to work at Mansfield University years ago, and I did not go ahead with it as business manager over there, and I didn't go into it, didn't follow on it. And I always regret that, but again, that's a state job, no personality to it. So
maybe there was a reason. You never know.
Must be. Yeah.
So what are some of your memories of Wellsboro? Did you have a favorite restaurant when you were younger here in town, or a place that you like to go for live music, or things that you miss that aren't here anymore?
Well, I guess the Wellsboro Diner stands out for everybody. Of course, the Penwells, we went there on rare occasions. I remember I took my wife on a date there with the family, and she was so shy that she only ate one deviled egg out of the whole bar, And I'm thinking, what's with this? She was super shy. So
well, she's excited to be around you, I guess, or something.
Maybe, I doubt that, but anyway.
Any other memories in town? Did you used to go to the movies or do other things in town?
In high school, I worked at Y Drive-In Theater. I was started out serving drinks and popcorn and all that for Larry Wooden, and eventually graduated to being outside security. Mm-hmm. You had to write down the license plates of all the cars at what speaker they were at, so when they tore the speaker out, you could send them a bill, stuff like that, and watch for people sneaking in the back gate, and watch for trunks opening with 5 kids climbing out, stuff like that.
Did you see all of that stuff during security at the Y?
Oh, yeah.
Now, I never got to see the Y Drive-In movie theater. How popular was that? I mean, on a Saturday night, was it full?
Yeah, I think it was pretty popular. They had Buck Night on Thursday. For $1, you could get everybody in. Whole carload for $1, so...
Yeah, we can't beat that.
Can't beat that when you have a big family. So it was a popular place.
That was just one screen, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So if you didn't like the movie, well,
Yeah.
you watched the movie.
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting that you worked at the Y Drive-In movie theater. Do you remember some of the other guests we had? There used to be another drive-in movie theater out on 362 where the A&W stand was, out past where the towers are. If you head out 362 towards the canyon, on the left side, about 5 miles out of town in a field, this is all that's there now.
Don't remember that at all.
Had a couple of guests that lived up that way. One that remember the A&W stand, well, Nancy Dunham did, and then another person who lived up there, and she remembers still the movie theater there in the 50s. But
They're older than me.
well, yeah. But you might have heard stories working in the drive-in movie
Yeah, I
theater
don't remember
business.
that at all. But
So what was Larry Wooden like? He's the one who promoted Wellsboro, right? He's the one who
Yeah.
came up with the term, the Pennsylvania Grand Canyon, and,
He
and come
discovered-
visit it.
yeah.
I've never met anyone who's met him.
yeah, he discovered and promoted the Grand Canyon. Local people call it Larry's Ditch. That was the local.
Yeah, that was the
comment to
term then.
Grand Canyon of Pennsylvania, but local people call
The
it.
guy drove
Larry's
all
Ditch.
over the country for like a whole year saying, come to Wellsboro and come see the
Yep.
the Pennsylvania Grand Canyon, or as you call it,
Yeah.
the Wellsboro Ditch.
His second wife was Jerry Wooden. That's who I actually worked for, and she was a go-getter. She was a businesswoman. So Larry did the projector, and I don't think they had any kids that I remember. So
That was kind of their family down there hanging out there.
Yeah.
What do you remember about school? Did you have a slide ruler? We're kind of going all around in time period here, but my dad showed me how to use a slide ruler, and I'm guessing you may have had one.
Well, I did. Yeah, I was more into bookkeeping than the other things. I was in wrestling, stuff like that. I wasn't really a big athlete, but I was busy with the farm.
Yep, farm kept you going. And
Yeah.
was there a Grange that you attended?
Whitneyville had a Grange. I can't remember the name of Tioga County Grange there at Whitneyville. It's gone now. There's a different garage there now, but we used to go to dances there. And
Let's say square dances
Yeah.
seem to be a popular
Yeah.
thing, and
I was little back then, and the older women would grab me by the arm and swing me around. I was just little, they were throwing me around in the so-called square dancing.
that was a kind of crazy version of square dancing.
Yeah.
Anything else that we want to share, Bob, about your life? You've had some interesting stories on where you've been and how you ended up with where you are, and anything else you had words of wisdom before we wrap up?
Just, I'm glad to be Wellsboro. We travel a lot. And someplace, and they'll say, where are you from? You wouldn't know where it is. Tioga County. Well, we're in Tioga County, Wellsboro. I've been there. Why would you come here? In other words, we have a better town than anything,
Yes, I agree. I've lived in 5 different states and probably 10 different addresses, but I've chose to spend more than half of my life and probably the rest of it in the Wellsboro and Tioga County areas. I love it here.
I don't think it's as cliquey as a lot of small towns. I mean, I'm sure we have some cliques, but there's not any really uppity people, I don't think, in Wellsboro.
If you're just friendly and got a smile, people will be nice to you. That's the secret to you treat them nice first, and they'll treat you nice right back.
That's right.
Well, Bob, appreciate you stopping by and joining us here on KC 101. This has been Saturday with Seniors. Big thank you going out to our sponsor. That's FCCB. The Tioga County office is sponsoring today's show in Wellsboro, Mansfield, and Blossburg. And you can hear this show and all of our other shows on our website. Go to kc101fm.com and you'll see a link to get you to all the programs of Saturdays with Seniors. First Citizens Community Bank, building better communities for over 150 years. Member FDIC.